From the unexplained to the mundane, come join us on a journey to the fringe. Hello and welcome to Journey to the Fringe. If the rapture's happened, we're still here with you. If not in corporal form, then at least our voices are still stuck here on Earth in the purgatory that we now exist in.
Yeah, we got that.
We are your podcast hosts, Taylor and Chelsea, here today doing a Chelsea episode, and I'll let her take over.
Yep, that's me, as you have come to learn. So this topic has been on my radar for a little bit now. It combines the best of all my favorite worlds. Except dinosaur ghosts. I got them on my mind, though. We got UAPs, the paranormal, abductions, high strangeness, and everything creepy. And especially something that I hate. Today, we're looking at all in the paranormal world that is, who would have thought with that introduction? Owls.
Ooh. I'm actually about to get somewhere in a book I'm reading on this topic. I'm very excited to see what you have for me.
There's owls on it?
Potentially. It's at least been teased a lot.
Interesting. That makes part 2 even more, if it wasn't already set up in the book, as you need to read part 2 and constantly saying part 2.
Sorry, we're talking about...
No, don't tell them.
Chelsea's gonna beep that out, I feel. Sorry, guys. This is a Chelsea edit as well.
So, as always, this is just going to be an overview of the topic. It's a surprisingly diverse one with opportunity for future episodes. So, let's talk about some owls. And I think the best place to start is with ancient folklore and owls.
Well, sorry, Chelsea. Some of the people listening might not know what an owl is.
Well, it's a creepy bird. I don't know, just Google it. I'm just assuming we're all on the same page here.
Okay.
Back to where I was going with this, people who don't know what owls are. Ancient folklore and owls. Across hundreds of cultures, owls hold deep spiritual significance. They are seen not only as animals, but as beings that move between the physical and spiritual worlds. They can be seen as spiritual messengers that many view as intermediaries between the living and the spirit world, protectors, symbols of transformation, spiritual messengers, or spirit-linked presences. Their ability to see in darkness symbolizes insight, hidden knowledge, and perception beyond ordinary human ability. Owls are frequently associated with death, not only as evil omens, but also evil omens, which we'll talk about. But on the opposite side, they can also be viewed as guides who accompany souls or signal transformation. Owls symbolize endings that lead to new beginnings. As malevolent entities, harbingers of death, or the restless spirits of the dead, hearing an owl hooting near your home is often considered a very bad omen. They can also be seen as warning agents or death omens.
Can I also just add that people with fond memories of Ocarina of Time may know owls as the ones who explain the plot and let you know the controls?
I have no idea what that means.
Well, that's okay. Somebody might get it.
I'm going to beep it out. Others view owls as symbols of wisdom. Their quietness, night vision, and attentiveness make them symbols of intelligence and sacred knowledge. Some medicine people seek owl medicine for insight, healing, or prophetic vision. They hold a lot of symbolism across the world, across tons of different cultures. In Native American spiritual traditions, owls occupy a profound and multifaceted place. They symbolize wisdom, transformation, death, protection, and communication with the spirit world. A lot of what I just said. These traditions continue to shape cultural identity and conservation practices today. There is diverse meaning across the tribes, with many nations interpreting owls in unique ways. I'll name a few with as little detail as possible, as always. The Hopi have owl kachinas, which represent wisdom, and kachinas, they're cool things. I have one. Google them too when you're Googling owl after that one. Open a new tab. Keep the other tab for owl.
Yeah, because you're going to have to go back and be like, wait, what was an owl? Oh, right.
Yeah, and never close that owl tab. That's a journey to the fringe secret.
That's how we do all our research.
The Lakota Sioux, they connected to the Whoopee, a mediator between humans and supernatural.
Is that what she's named after? I've always wondered where that name comes from.
It could mean owl. I also could be saying it wrong.
Also, Google Whoopi Goldberg now. We need to know this. Yeah. Keep all of the tabs open.
We need you to research like we do. We're going to walk you through it. The Pawnee, they see the owls as protectors and symbols of bravery. The Ojibwe associate them with both death and wisdom. They use owls as symbols for both evil and death. In addition, they use owls as a symbol of very high status of spiritual leaders and their spirituality. The Cherokee link them to witchcraft and spiritual consultation between even tribes. It's amazing how they're good for one and bad for others. The Seminole believe that they were transformed shamans, which are the Stikini.
So, skinwalkers.
Essentially, right? And they come up multiple times in this episode, skinwalker-type creatures. The Stikini are sinister monsters from the Seminole folklore. Originally, they were evil witches who transformed themselves into owl beings. By day, they still resembled the Seminole people, but by night, they vomit up their souls, along with their internal organs, and become undead owl monsters that feed on human hearts. In some Seminole communities, speaking their name is thought to put you at risk for turning into one. So, Stikini stories are only told by certain medicine people and Chelsea. In other communities, they have been spoken more casually as boogeyman to frighten children.
I think this is another place now that you can't go to, Chelsea.
I'm quickly eliminating places I can go with this podcast. So, branching outwards from indigenous stories surrounding owls, among the Kiu of Kenya, it is believed that owls were harbingers of death. If one saw an owl or heard its hoot, someone was going to die. In general, owls are viewed as harbingers of bad luck, ill health, or death.
Can I just add, I really hope that owls weren't that common in that area, because, like, if you live where owls are, you hear like multiple hoots a night.
It's
like
true.
You would lose like a genocide of your tribe in a season.
Yeah, we grew up where owls were plentiful, so we heard lots of owls, and I don't remember death being that prominent.
Well, we did lose a cat to them, in fact.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one instance.
Does that count?
It could, yeah, probably. But we did hear a lot more owls than one. Definitely. So in Kenya, I don't know. Open another tab. Send us. I have too many tabs open. Send us what it says for how many owls live in Kenya. The belief is widespread even today. Owls are often considered omens of death or ghosts in various traditions. Are you Googling? I just heard typing.
I am learning that barn owls live basically everywhere in Africa, which is crazy.
Really?
I didn't even know there were that many barns in Africa.
Owls are so creepy. I didn't either. In China, owls are traditionally considered a sign of evil or misfortune, but are also seen as a symbol of good luck in military affairs, a symbol of protection and warding off evil spirits at funerals, and even as the incarnation of ancestors. Even history's most infamous conquerors are not free from the influence of owls, with the hooting of the birds supposedly predicting the deaths of Julius Caesar and Augustus in ancient Rome. And for Genghis Khan, though, an owl may have rescued him from pursuers. They do so much. Moving on, we have the Roman Strix. In ancient Rome, there were tales of the Strix, a bird of ill omen that was believed to feed on human flesh and blood, often transforming into a witch. This is where we get the scientific name for true owls, Stringidae. The Roman Strix influenced later European folklore, contributing to the development of vampire legends, witchcraft narratives, and nocturnal demon myths. Its dual nature as both a bird and witch-like figure made it a powerful symbol of fear and the supernatural, persisting in culture memory for centuries. So that kind of summarizes my folklore and owls. We have a long history with owls. They hold a lot of symbolism. They've inspired a lot. So now that we covered the folklore, let's move on to the UFO connection, which is my personal favorite. Throughout this, we're going to be talking a lot about somebody named Mike Cleland, or maybe not talking a lot about it, but I use a lot of stuff that came from him because he's someone on the forefront of paranormal owl research, which is kind of a weird sentence to say. I don't think there's anyone else that is really doing the research. He has a couple of books, but most notable, The Messengers, Owls, Synchronicity, and the UFO Abductee, and it's on my to-read list. Not for this episode, evidently. Don't be worried about it, though. I got you guys. First up, owls are linked with screen memories, which I don't think has come up on this episode before. In ufology, a screen memory is a false memory implanted by extraterrestrials.
Sorry. Are you saying scream memory or screen memory?
Screen.
Oh, okay.
And a screen memory is a false memory implanted by extraterrestrials to mask a traumatic or incomprehensible abduction event. It's exclusive to an abduction phenomenon, I think. At least in this scenario. Abductees frequently report seeing an impossibly large owl, often 3 to 4 feet, staring at them through a window or sitting on a dark road just before experiencing missing time. The idea is that when aliens are interacting with humans, they somehow are influencing people to see something other than a scary alien being in order to keep them calm through the experience.
Yeah, keep you calm. Just a giant owl.
A giant owl. And it seems that the most common screen memory people remember after such an experience is that of seeing strange 3 or 4 foot tall owls, or just an owl in general.
The perfectly calming giant owl.
Exactly. And personally, I would rather just have the abduction. I don't want any part of being close to an owl. Thank you.
A giant owl.
Yeah, no thank you. So I do have a couple examples of this. This is where it's going to get creepy. There is a movie that has completely escaped my mind right now, Taylor Kind, and it deals exclusively with this.
You're going to beep that, right?
Yeah, probably. I'm going to beep the fuck out of this episode. I can't recall off the top of my head. It just occurred to me while I was reading this that there's a movie on it. But I do have a couple of true story examples now. So first we have an experiencer, Karina Sables, who reported driving home with her family when she suddenly slammed on the brakes. In the glare of the headlight, she saw a typical gray alien standing on the side of the road. While she and her children began to shake in terror, her husband remained completely calm, turned to her and asked, "What are you guys so worried about? It's only a big owl." This is textbook example of a localized screen memory where the phenomenon masks the entity for one witness while leaving the terrifying reality visible to others. I can't even imagine how I would lose it if that happened to me and I was seeing something that different from a person that I was with, if I was seeing something terrifying. I don't even know what I would do. I'd rather be seeing a dinosaur ghost, you guys. So, another account documented by Cleland involves a group of friends driving at night. After watching a brilliant blue light descend from the sky and vanish beyond the tree line, a massive white owl suddenly appeared. The car was traveling at 55 miles per hour, yet the owl effortlessly kept pace, flying right next to the passenger window with its head turned, staring directly at the passengers inside before vanishing.
This straight up sounds like one of the Mothman stories.
Doesn't it?
Moth persons. Where she wanted to put the window down and talk to it.
Yeah, there's gonna be some overlap a little bit between the two, and I really think there is. Let's see what you think by the time we get to the end of this. But yeah, I mean, people and encounters, they're unpredictable. Like,
yeah,
you never know what they're going to do. In Sorpel, Sweden, in summer 1966, 2 men traveling by moped pulled over for a bathroom break. And when they did, noticed an owl sitting on a post behind the road. Shortly afterwards, they claimed to have seen a large silvery craft hovering 150 meters above the ground, and when it landed, there appeared to be movement by strange humanoid figures within. We also have a gray connection with the owls. Sorry, not the aliens, the owls. Which, through hypnotic regression, many experiencers discovered that the giant big-eyed owl was actually a gray alien. The owl's oversized eyes and silent presence make it a convenient psychological overlay for the human brain or the extraterrestrials to use to mask the entity, apparently. The sightings are closely related to UAP-associated phenomenon and are also therefore linked to, as I think we already said, maybe. If not, beep that. Contactees stop to admire an owl, and when they're on their way again, they realize hours have passed. A theory is these owls' appearances could be screen memories. Physically implanted visions where owls were merely disguised stand-ins with hypnotic regression therapy, later revealing something much weirder. An experiencer shared 2 separate stories from friends who had nearly identical experiences. In both cases, the person was driving late at night on a rural dirt road when they were forced to stop because a massive owl was standing dead center in their path, refusing to move. The next thing both drivers remembered was... Yeah.
Sorry, did they get out and move and the owl said no? Or did they just assume it was refusing to move?
My assumption is that
do you think he got some road rage? It was honking at it.
Yeah, that's my assumption, is that there's honking, there's light flashing going on, and he shook his head no. And it was understood that he was refusing. So the next thing both drivers remembered was suddenly being further down the road or arriving at their destination, with hours of missing time having vanished in an instant. So I think the owl had a little bit of road rage too, and he was like, we'll take this.
There was probably 2 hours of just yelling, and he lost it to rage.
Yeah. Next, we have the shapeshifter and cryptid connections with owls. They're everywhere. First up is La Lechuza. In Mexican and Mexican-American folklore, La Lechuza is an old witch, or bruja, which has sold her soul to the devil in exchange for magical powers, allowing her to shapeshift into a giant owl. She is said to mimic the sounds of a crying baby to lure people outside at night. When witnesses see her, she is often described as an owl with the face of an old woman, or an owl that transforms back into a human figure when spotted.
Wait, what? Why does it even transform if it just immediately becomes a witch again if it's spotted? Doesn't that defeat the point of transforming?
It absolutely does. But you're going to see a creepy story of this exact thing happening, and it almost makes it even creepier. Could you imagine seeing an owl and it transforms into a human in front of you? I would be thinking I definitely just saw something I was not meant to see in my life.
Yeah, I don't know how I would react to that happening.
I think it would be bad.
Especially if it was on a branch that clearly can't support a human and it's just trying to figure it out. Because they don't get to control where they are when you see it. That's
true, just teleporting. It's no fun.
Yeah, just a Waffle House. Any Waffle House.
So there's a famous story, the 1975 Robstown Big Bird Panic, which is...
Not to be confused with another Big Bird.
So this comes from a Texas historical news account, the Corpus Christi Caller-Times in 1975. La Lechuza is deeply rooted in Mexican and Tejano folklore as a witch who sold her soul to shapeshift into a giant owl. In 1975, the rural town of Robstown, Texas, was swept by a mass panic when residents flooded police with calls about a massive, silent, bird-like creature swooping over the trees. It was far too large to be a normal bird, but the truly terrifying detail was its face. As any owl, witnesses claimed the giant owl had the face of a human being, and some even reported it having human feet. I mean, the human feet is one thing, but have you ever seen the face of an owl? They're creepy. And some people might be confused. That's why I'm having you all Google owl, because you need to be prepared for if you were to ever see one and not be confused with a human face. But this owl could have had a human face because it's
Yeah, if you didn't know, you might just think that that's an owl sitting there in that branch.
You need to know the difference. And so that happened in 1975, and it was a mass sighting. Here are some more La Lechuza encounters. We have a user that shares a terrifying family story from Monterrey, Mexico. Their mother woke up at 3 a.m.
Is it mostly Mexican?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mexican
I guess it's
folklore.
the ones that are transforming, sorry, I guess.
Yeah.
They're
I mean, this
all
isn't-
because it is a thing of their folklore.
Yeah. Okay, so the mother woke up at 3 a.m. to the sound of their usually quiet dog barking viciously at the balcony. The mother found the person whose story this is, who was just an infant at the time, flipped face down on the mattress with pillows inexplicably tossed across the room. Hovering right by the open balcony door was the ugliest, most gigantic black owl the mother had ever seen. The dog lunged at it and the creature vanished into the night, and the family fully believes La Lechuza was attempting to snatch the child. Then we have a user from South Texas taking a smoke break with a buddy during a night shift. Without making a single sound, an impossibly large owl estimated to have a massive 6-foot wingspan glided down into the parking lot right next to him. The user noted that the sheer unnatural size of the bird gave them instant chills, paralyzing them both with the terrifying realization that the creature looked large enough to physically lift a person off of the ground. Then we have user Thick Prick, who says, when he was around 10 years old, my mom and her friend were sitting around drinking beer. She started talking Mexican folklore and began telling me the story about the Lechuza. Something about how it's a female witch in the form of an owl, and if you see an owl, it means someone has cast a bad spell on you. This was at night during the fall, and we lived in the city somewhere with not much wildlife. When she was done with the story, she opened up the back sliding door to have a smoke, and sitting on the fence in the dark looking at us was a big ass fucking owl.
Okay, that has to be somebody fucking with that.
Wouldn't that be so creepy?
Like, tell that story and then go and open the door and there's an owl.
Yeah.
I feel like they were getting set up.
Really? But how would... Maybe. I was already a little scared from hearing some witch story, but seeing my mom and her friend turn white and nope, the door fucking closed had me shook for months.
To be fair, you can just buy a fake owl from the hardware store.
That's true. They keep crows away.
Yeah.
I'd never seen
Because crows hate them. Because when
Yeah.
they look at them, they turn into a crow.
It's true. I'd never seen an
It's
owl
crow
in my
lore.
life, up to the point that have maybe only seen a couple in the past 25 years. Still gives me chills. User Red Fox Jr. 2210. My great grandpa told me a story one time where one was perched on the roof of his house on his ranch. He would curse at it in Spanish, and when he started saying the rosary, he said the face of the person that put the curse on him appeared on the owl and it flew away. He and my
Man.
stepdad both had similar stories.
I wish just, like, randomly yelling at things was more a part of North American culture.
Oh, you don't
Like,
do that?
old man yelling at owls, cursing at them. Just not a thing that really happens here. You put those people in different, like, facilities.
Don't put me in a facility, okay? I like to yell at things. So, user Maury420, this was maybe 5 years ago, and to this day it still gives me the creeps. I was with my buddy on our way to a friend's house to catch the UFC fight. We had stopped at the store for a case of beer, and on the way to my friend's house we missed the turn. Luckily, that neighborhood, all of the streets are sort of connected, so instead of doing a U-turn, I just told my buddy, just catch the next turn and do a full circle so we can turn around like that. Streets are pretty narrow since it's residential area, and we were in a pickup truck with 24-inch rims. Well, he starts slowing down, and I'm looking at a scratch off to see if I won when my buddy goes, "Look, someone's husky is just sitting in the middle of the road." I look up, and I'm like, nah, man, that's too big to be a husky, so I told him to switch to his high beams. As soon as he did, whatever it was did not like it. So like I said, my friend's truck is sitting on big wheels, and this thing still looked huge, and it was maybe less than 10 feet away from us. When the light hit it, it turned its head When I say we saw a human face on this thing, I mean we could make out eyes, nose, mouth, everything. Then it literally just spread these big ass wings and took flight. No noise from the wings, nothing. How would you hear it from a truck? We literally had to pull over to the side of the road to kind of just evaluate what the hell we saw. Got to my friend's house and told them what we just saw, but they didn't take us seriously. Still don't know what the fuck we saw that night. Okay, someone pulls up to my house and they go, I'm so freaked out, you're never gonna believe what I saw. And I I cancel the plans.
And you're waiting to party because they're bringing beer to you.
Yeah, I'm like, turn off UFC, we gotta listen to this story. And we take it the most seriously we've ever taken anything in our lives. To me, if you have a paranormal experience around me, you best know that I'm taking that seriously and all my plans are canceled to hear your paranormal story. Okay, so next we have Owlman of Cornwall, UK. So this is the next cryptid up. And I think, has Owlman came up before for us?
It sounds familiar, but I don't think so.
I know, I can't remember. Anyhow, he's going to be touched on briefly because he's a cryptid to do with an owl. He's a legendary creature reported in 1976, and it is described as a large owl-like humanoid entity with pointed ears, glowing eyes, and giant talons. And I'm not going to lie, he's reminiscent of Mothman, with one big difference. His name is Owlman.
People have seen the penis. I have no idea what an owl penis looks like. I also don't know what a moth penis looks like. We're just assuming it has the human genitalia.
Open a new tab.
Open a new private tab now, everyone.
Okay, so the first reported sighting of the Owlman occurred in April 1976 when two young girls, June and Vicky Melling, spotted the creature near Monin Church. According to their account, the Owlman was hovering menacingly above the church tower, watching them intently with glowing eyes. The girls were so frightened that their family cut their holiday short. Subsequent sightings occurred through the 1970s and 80s, with others witnesses describing similar encounters near the church and surrounding woods.
I have a quick question. Has inflation gotten so bad that, I don't think seeing a cryptid or an owlman would make me end my vacation that I spent good hard money on?
You know what? It went through my head. I wasn't going to stop what I was saying to say that, but no, I'm for sure powering through that. I'm not calling it off for fear. One notable report came from two teenagers in 1978 who claimed the owlman emitted a chilling screech before flying off into the night. These sightings often coincide with quiet moonlit nights, adding to the creature's ominous aura. So, other cryptids we have include the Kikayoan, a cryptid described as a ghost owl with razor-sharp talons, short greenish-gray hair, and a strong odor of dead snakes. I don't know that I could identify that smell.
No. It's got to be a specific smell, though.
It has to be. And specific enough that someone must have smelled it before.
More than once.
Sorry,
because even if you smell it once, you'd be like, oh yeah, that's the smell of a dead animal in my mind. Like, you smell it again, like, no, that's a distinct dead animal.
Unless it is that distinct that you're like, I will never forget the smell of dead snakes again. And that was for sure it. It is said to be deadly, partially ephemeral creature. Next cryptid is the Andaman wood owl, a mysterious owl-like creature reported in the dense forests of the Andaman Islands. As we can see, owls really have a huge imprint on cultures and also cryptids. They're just all over the place. And I didn't get into it much, but there does also seem to be a link to owls and high strangeness and synchronicities as well. Some seem to link seemingly ungraspable mystical links, such as foreboding forewarnings, or personal spiritual awakening, which we also see in the folklore. Mike Clelland's research also points out that people who experience UFO sightings often report a sudden, massive influx of owl sightings in their daily lives, bordering on the supernatural. Owls appearing in times of prayer, change, including death and moments of significant impact. There are many people who tell stories about an owl that would follow them around town for several weeks or even months. They'd stay out in the front yard on a light post or in a tree and then would follow these people around town as they ran errands, never interacting with them directly, but seemingly keeping an eye on them at all times of the day. This came up quite frequently as well with Mike Clelland, that owls would appear to someone after the death of a loved one. He also connects them with UAPs and screen memories. Now, something that he does talk a lot in his interviews, I listen to quite a lot about this, and synchronicities are a big part of his work with owls. A lot of people who said that they were interviewing him, they were reading his book, and all of a sudden they started seeing owls everywhere. Now, I was reading a lot of this, not his book, but I was listening to podcasts with him on. I've been looking at owls, researching this. I will say I have not seen a single owl. So there's that. I don't really want to see an owl, so don't take that as an invitation, owls.
You know, our listenership is like 40%. Yeah. So it's good you really cleared that out.
I know. So I just wanted to say that because literally on every interview, people were like, so I started looking at owls for our interview and then I all of a sudden saw an owl. And he was like, yep, that's the synchronicity. No owls here. Another individual reports ongoing harassment rather than a single encounter. She describes shapeshifters watching her home, standing outside her window and following her boyfriend. She recalls seeing a white owl stare directly at her during daylight. A week later, her father died, fulfilling what she believes was a warning delivered through that encounter. She strongly cautions against dismissing such experiences, stating that disbelief offers no protection. Now, what I want to read to you next and end this episode on is a couple of Singular Fortean accounts as well as a Phantom and Monsters account. Let's start with the Singular Fortean. This one's a shorter one. Quote, I had just gotten off of work and was walking with my friend toward the parking lot to go home. As we walked, we saw something fly over us. At first, it looked like a huge owl, but it was solid black. The thing flew over us and then landed by the edge of the parking lot and was just standing there. We again thought it was an owl until this son of a bitch stood up. It was standing about 7 feet tall.
Right in the way of our car.
My friend shrieked, and that's when this... I'm going to have to beep that out. Turned around, and we saw two glowing red eyes that looked like they belonged to the devil himself. That's when we both screamed, and this demon spread his wings out and lunged at us while screeching at us. It sounded like a bunch of little girls all screaming at once. Jeez. And was the scariest thing I've ever heard. We ran for the car, and this thing
That sounds like an NSYNC concert, doesn't it? God, that
terrifying.
dates us.
We ran from my car, and this thing acted like it wanted to come after us as we ran to the car. It took a step in our direction before it took off into the air and was out of sight in about 3 seconds. We could still hear it screeching as it flew off into the night. I can tell you that I never felt so scared and all but pissed myself from fright. I thank the Lord for watching over us and not letting that thing attack us or drag us off to hell. Here's my final one. This one comes from Phantoms and Monsters, Lon Strickler, and I did confirm when I was on Singular Fortean, it is not Lon Strickler, but he works with them. So he has encounters on their website as well, which is why I said that wherever it came up last.
Yeah, I can't remember where it came up either, but it was recently.
But it did come up.
It was the little people.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so that's what I'm talking about when I say that. This is the next encounter. I live in El Paso, Texas, and back in 2007, I moved to the Lower Valley for about 7 months. I was 16 at the time. I was still trying to figure myself out, and being the new kid made things rough. I got bullied a lot, so I started sneaking out at night and walking around the apartment complex to clear my head. During those walks, I saw all kinds of strange things. I would catch sight of a girl dressed in white. At times, I saw flashes of what looked like a man hanging from a tree. There were shadows, odd lights, and other things I still cannot explain. The unsettling part is that I was not the only one seeing strange activity there. Other people in my family experienced things too, but the one thing none of us have ever forgotten is the owls. About a week before we moved, my best friend wanted to spend the night so we could hang out before I left. He ended up feeling sick and decided to go home, so I walked him back. When I returned, I laid down on the couch and stared at the closed curtains. There was a light outside the window, so whenever somebody passed by, their silhouette would show through. As I lay there, I kept hearing what sounded like heavy wing flapping outside. I did not think much of it at first. I put on my earphones and listened to my iPod, still staring at the curtains out of boredom. Then I saw something that stopped me cold. A huge bird flew past the window right in front of me. It turned into a woman. She stood there as if she knew I could see her. She did not speak. She just stood there for a moment, then walked away. I could hear her footsteps fading into the empty stairwell outside my apartment. I kept that to myself for a long time because I did not want anyone to think I had lost my mind. 3 days before we moved out, I saw an owl perched on the trees outside my window. I tried not to focus on it. I just went on with my usual night walk. Then the night before we left for El Paso, it happened again. This time I saw the owl transform into a dark-skinned woman, but instead of stopping, she sprinted away. It looked like she was running from something, or as if she was terrified and trying to escape danger. I never went outside to investigate. I was just a little kid and scared out of my mind. About 4 months after we moved, my mother called us into the living room to talk. That conversation gave me my sanity back. I finally knew I was not crazy. My mother, my brother, and I all saw the same thing, only at different times and in different places. My brother said that while walking home from a friend's house, he saw an owl turn into a woman and run off into a field. My mother said she had experienced it several times when coming home from late night shifts. Sometimes she saw it at a distance and other times only a few feet away. I still want to know what we saw. I want to know whether anyone else had encounters involving owls like this and whether there are folktales or legends that might explain it. I mean, he could have opened a new tab and done it himself. So Lon then comments, here are the closest parallels I found that are worth noting in this blog entry. Number 1, Borderland Lechuza tradition. La Lechuza is widely described in Tejano and Mexican folklore as a malevolent or avenging owl woman, sometimes a witch, sometimes a wronged woman, and sometimes a cursed being. Modern summaries consistently describe the transformation between woman and owl, especially at night. Number 2, window and home proximity motive. PBS's transcript specifically mentions stories of large owls peeking into bedroom windows and families discovering unexplained scratches afterward. That window side behavior is strikingly close to the El Paso report, where the witness saw the entity directly outside the curtains and heard it move into the stairwell, which we saw quite a few times in this episode as well. Number 3, human-faced or human-linked bird reports in Texas. The 1975 Robstown flap became linked to La Lechuza when reports described a large bird with a human face. That matters because the El Paso witness did not merely see an owl, he reported a transitional form that resolved into a woman. Regional precedent exists for witnesses describing both bird and human traits in the same encounter. And number 4, owl as an omen in older belief systems. Some indigenous Mesoamerican traditions associate owls with death, the underworld, or urgent supernatural warning. That does not mean every owl sighting is paranormal, but it does explain why owl encounters in the borderlands carry symbolic weight far beyond ordinary wildlife observation. That's the end of the episode. I did want to point out on your thought of the Mothman as well, or it was my thought. There was a thought that came up in this episode about Mothman. They seem to be a part of the Chicago Mothman flap as well. People citing owl-like creatures like this.
Yeah, and the whole problem becomes it happens at night, so it's hard to really differentiate the dark flying thing.
And the one that we heard that was screaming like a million children, that one really was reminiscent of Mothman to me. And I could see how they would easily be intertwined with one another. They could be potentially the same creature, a couple of these. The shape-shifting one does seem to be its own thing. But I did want to point that out with Mothman because Lon has quite a few encounters in the Chicago area, and I know that Mothman's fairly active around there. He likes to hang out there or something.
Or people are up at night in Chicago. That's could just
true.
be it.
That's true. So yeah, that's my owl episode.
Awesome. And I do think there'll be a sequel because I learned a bit about its involvement with Sasquatch sightings too.
That is very interesting.
Could be its own thing.
That Sasquatch guy has a lot going on, I've learned. Because I have just recently been reading... And I'm sorry to say...
Which will be... Yeah.
I'm going to have to bleep that. Which is a good book.
And with that, I have been Taylor, here with Chelsea. We are Journey to the Fringe. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Journey to the Fringe. If you have liked what you have listened to, please like, share, subscribe, or follow, depending on what venue you are listening to us through. Also, please, if possible, leave a 5-star review, as that really helps us in the algorithms. Should you wish to interact with us, please check us out on your social media of choice. I bet you we are there. And if you really want to communicate with us and give us ideas for new episodes, or tell us that we're wrong and terrible, either way, please send us an email at journeytothefringe@gmail.com. For now, I'll see you in the next episode.